goodness. Big move Monday. Look out. A way to end the tournament.
So what's happening, people? Welcome back to the Quad Pod, sponsored by Poseidon Strength and Adidas Wrestling. Really, really happy to be back with Robbie, Austin, and Kevin for episode 47, the Mel Blount episode. We were mulling over a couple different guys. Couldn't go with Robbie's favorite guy, AK-47, because I couldn't fully pronounce his actual name. He was a cricket player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I figured Mel Blount would be the better of those two options, considering there's like the Mel Blount rule because he played way too fucking aggressive. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna go with Mel Blount. It would have been, and honestly would have been really good if the Mel Blount episode synced up to, what was it, last Tuesday's episode where we had Penn State guys pushing people off stages and kicking guys too. Mm-hmm. Over aggressiveness would have been perfect for the Mel Blount episode. However,
you take off your Penn State hater glasses.
I mean, yep. Man, it's rough, but
he's wearing Cornhusker red now. Interesting.
I am. I'm going Husker red. This sweatshirt actually says absolute victory every day. So I feel like I'm full Husker with this one. But as you guys know, we weigh in before we get to any of our topics. And from my weigh in, I am going with the Husker red is a coincidence, but I'm going with the young Husker fan that held the sign, letting AJ Ferrari know that Doc Snyder, aka my man Brian Snyder, is not a fan of the split. The rest of us aren't either anymore. I think it's run its course, but that photo, I think I cannot. I lost count of how many group text that photo ended up in. I think that thing made its rounds the entire weekend after it was posted. Who's it by? Any Wrestle? Is that who it was?
It was him. Yeah, I think so.
And so I'm gonna full on like chef's kiss. That kid was perfect with the sign, and I think he knew who his audience was. And also whoever took the photo, I can't remember if there was a photo caption on there.
I think it was Any Wrestle.
Any Wrestle. And honestly, that photo was so damn good. I thought it was AI. You guys can attest this. When it was put in one of our groups, it was so good. I thought it was AI. Like colors pop, everything looked so damn good. Didn't even think it was real. But that young Husker fan, just amazing. So shout out to that kid. I think he nailed it, honestly, and summed up however every single one of us feels, not just how Doc Snyder feels about it. Austin, on to you.
I got a quick weigh in here. Shout out to Lehigh's own Matty Lopes. He just won Nationals U23 representing the country of Brazil. So it's good to see some American guys representing other countries. I know there was some rumors about, and questions I should say, about him replacing Crookham again this year. Lopes replaced Crookham last year in the postseason, but Lopes kind of had a different plan for the international scene this year, and they're sticking to that. So like I said, U23 champ for Brazil. You'll probably see him at Pan Ams and eventually the World Championships later on this freestyle season. Also want to give a shout out to, I feel like I talked them up a bunch, but don't really get the recognition. I feel Bucknell, really, really tough team. I was at the Drexel Bucknell match this weekend. They beat Drexel, and then they came down to the wire with Navy, specifically Bryce Manera, 133-pounder freshman from Jersey, had 2 wins over NCAA qualifiers this year. Kyle Waterman of Drexel and Brendan Ferretti of Navy. And Miles Tackett's had the big upset this weekend, beating Danny Wask of Navy. Wask, obviously All-American last season. I think he's number 8 or 9 in the country right now. Top dog in the EIWA. At least he was until Tackett's took him out yesterday. So Bucknell, really, really good team. Feel like they're under the radar. Deserve a little bit of love, so I want to give them a shout out.
Nice. Robbie, on you.
Yeah, Bucknell's been super scrappy this year. We saw it when they wrestled Virginia Tech early in the year, and it was a tight duel. And they've been scrappy with pretty much everybody they've wrestled. So it's a fun team to watch. So keep your eye out on them. My shout out is going to go to Zach Tonelli. Virginia Tech. They were down in Charlottesville, or I guess up in Charlottesville from Blacksburg this weekend or this Friday, I guess. And they actually worked out at my high school before going over to the duel. So I got to hang out and talk to them for a little bit. Had a really good conversation with Zach, and just want to shout out him out for that. And talking about being fathers of kids with special needs and kind of going through how that works and how that impacts people, and getting to have a little bit of brotherhood along with that. And I've had same conversations with Freya as well. And just getting to be able to have those kind of conversations, I think it's really meaningful. So I really appreciated that.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Kevin, on to you.
I wanted to shout out Jackson Bloom, redshirt freshman 133 for Indiana. He is redshirting this season. Comes from West Michigan here, wrestled for Lowell, for RJ Boudreaux, who's now the head coach at Grand Valley State. Jackson was in the lineup for one of his 5 dates against Wisconsin and beat Zan Fugit, the All-American for Wisconsin. So that's just a huge win, and I wanted to kind of dovetail this shout out of the young Jackson Bloom into just Indiana in general. The coaching staff has done a really good job over the last several years. Really developed a deep lineup and a lot of studs in this group. I mean, it's funny. I was, just kind of talking about how crazy some of these duels are. Like, Indiana is a legitimately good team. Legitimately good team. And it's just crazy that they're in the Big Ten and they're going to lose a handful of duels to teams that are probably better than them. But I think that this team at NCAAs could be really, really impressive. So watch out for them. They beat the brakes off of Wisconsin on Sunday in Wisconsin, or Saturday, whenever that was. Which is
cheese curds too.
Really, yeah. It was pretty cool. So, just really impressed with them, and Chad Red joining the staff and their continued ascension seems like a direct correlation. So shout out to all those guys. I think this is the second week in like 6 weeks that I've shouted out Indiana in general. Football and wrestling school.
Football and wrestling is what they do.
Even though they lost you some money this weekend, huh, Claunch?
Well, yeah, that wasn't their fault. That was my fault. I made the wrong choice.
Not a believer.
Yeah. I go 7-3 on my bets over the weekend, and Austin throws me under the bus immediately. Yeah, remember one of those 3 though? That sucked, huh?
Yeah, that's one I remember you because I was shocked too. I wouldn't have picked Indiana to beat them. Like you said, they had a hell of a weekend. They had a hell of a duel there. So
that's the kind of dad that Austin is. His son's gonna come home and be like, "Remember that shot you missed? Remember the pass you didn't catch? Dad, I scored 3 touchdowns today. Yeah, remember that the one that you missed?
Yeah, not 4
that's
though.
Tech fault 4 kids. We got taken down once, kid. Those are laps there.
Yeah. The right move.
I think the only other shout out that I'm missing here is shouting out the Seattle Seahawks for winning the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker, who was a wrestler. I was on the mat.com. I had it up here in front of me, and I remember this article that they put out about the former wrestlers competing in Super Bowl 2026 edition, and all of them are now Super Bowl champions, at least in this article. I don't know. I didn't see if they did a second one for both teams, but there are a good amount of wrestlers that they're former wrestlers that the Seahawks have on their team that at some point wrestled. And I know we always try to claim every single person. Probably not the biggest deal that Kenneth Walker was a wrestler for like 4 years, for like 5th to 8th grade, but still awesome.
How he learned his balance though.
Most likely. I mean, the dude's a beast.
Yeah. And a Spartan.
There you go. The only other shout out I think is just our medalists that were in Croatia, the men's freestyle, women's freestyle, and then obviously the Greco. Colton Schultz, I think, finished things off with a silver medal. I know, what was it? Everybody was really up in arms about the Austin DeSanto match. Obviously, he does come back and win gold because of how things went. I believe Trent Hidley was silver there. yeah, shout out to all those guys and men and women that traveled and got the job done. Good to see some big time medals come back. We'll finish off our conversation today with a little bit of freestyle because Yazdani is not the greatest anymore. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But
Might be the greatest of the dad bod though.
He's a large individual. But let's start with some freestyle let's start with some folk style and go into the Big Ten, where Ohio State beat up on Iowa again. Last time I think it was 27-12. This time it was 24-9, and they looked really damn dominant in this duel as well. Even though the Divino Ayala match was a little bit closer this time, still a very good match. But Kevin, what were your thoughts on Ohio State over Iowa?
I mean, it's just so weird what Iowa is doing with their lineups for big duels. Like, and if guys are hurt, and I get it, but it seemed like a whole lot of dudes were hurt, evidently, and just not competing this time. Because what they had Victor Voinovich at 157, and Nasir Bailey didn't wrestle. They had Peterson in there, I believe. Like, so I don't know what's going on there, and because clearly they couldn't have looked at that and thought that was going to be their best lineup and best option, and give them a chance to win. I mean, we talked about the matchup issues with just where the studs are for Iowa already, and it showed up. It showed up in the duel. I will say, like, they did wrestle tough. They did wrestle really tough. Like, I was impressed with some of the fight from the Iowa guys. You already said that the Ayala match, he looked really good in that. He's got to be pissed off, dude, being 6-6 on the season now. Like, that's
been a rough year for him.
It really has. And, we've talked about 133, and there's a lot of just young studs in there floating around and getting big wins. But no, I mean, Ohio State looked awesome, man. And we're going to talk a lot more about them later on too, because obviously they got another big duel coming up, but they were ready to take care of business, and they very much did.
Yeah. And they've been ready to take care of business throughout the year. Obviously it's 17-0, but you're right. Like, it's very weird. And like you said, maybe there are some injuries and guys are banged up. I'm pretty sure that at this point, Angelo Ferrari's got to be banged up, maybe pretty badly, if he's going to miss matches in a row.
It's just weird to me too, because it's like, if like Brandon Cannon obviously didn't wrestle for Ohio State, right? And I think they put Ethan Burden out at 165, and Styles didn't
wrestle a tight match against Caliendo too, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely, he did. He's looked good on the year, and you could maybe make the argument that he has higher upside in general. But it just seems like if you have your healthy guys there at those weights where Ohio State's sending out, not their starters theoretically, then you need to take advantage of those weights, and you need to have your guys in that lineup. But I can't tell if they're just punting on this point of the season because everybody's hurt, and they're just like, look, we got to be at least ready in March when it matters. If we're going to have all these regular season dual losses, like, let's show up at the end of the season and everyone will forget about it.
An unsurprising 2-1 match between Karchler and Kennedy at 74. 84 been kind of driving people a little bit nuts with Fishback and Arnold. What were your guys' thoughts on this one at 84? Robbie, was it a takedown for Fishback? Was it within reaction time? What are your thoughts on it?
Nobody knows what a takedown is or what reaction time is.
Which is funny because I think I sent the screenshot of our old show from 2 years ago, and one of the topics was, what is a takedown? Still 2 years later, we're not sure.
Got me. My first thought was it looked like a takedown to me. It looked like he was behind, had control, was under the arms. No, I don't know what the fuck reaction time is. I mean, it's make-believe. So maybe it was within reaction time. Arnold certainly got through it really quickly and was able to take advantage of the position. Looking at it in slow-mo, seeing seeing Arnold block with that leg was damn impressive, just awareness from him. But I don't know if that was enough to keep it from being a takedown or not. I'm surprised they overturned it. I feel more like that was going to be whatever was called on the mat was going to stay because there wasn't enough to say one way or the other. So that was what I was surprised by. I wasn't surprised that they called it a takedown. I'm surprised that they overturned it and called it a takedown when they didn't say it was initially.
Yeah, that foot blocking, if you don't have that other angle, you have no idea. But like, it really was such a quick kind of bang bang play, right? Like, just duck under, he's there, and then Arnold's rolling through. But like, Arnold does hit an elbow. He hits his hand, like his hands are down. Like that leg blocking. I'm guessing they're deeming it not a big factor, but I don't know. But it was very quick. So like, if we're talking reaction time, then that's, I mean, honestly, it's got to be within reaction time because of how he reacted. So it has to be within that. But like, I'm with you. Like, I was very surprised that they actually went with, at least that they overturned it. I can see why they would think it was a takedown, like I said, but when it comes to like the whole situation and reaction time included, it's another kind of tally mark for inconsistency. Austin, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I have it pulled up here, looking at rewatching it again. Initially, I thought it was definitely a takedown, and then they showed the backside, like you mentioned, Holmes, of him blocking Fishback from getting completely around him. To me, I think the refs went back and looked because Fishback hits that nice duck under, and Gabe Arnold kind of goes on his head a little bit, and he pulls himself up, and then hits the roll. So to me, I think they were in their head, they're probably thinking, oh, he's on his head, and then he comes up to hit this roll through. It's not one continuous motion. So that's the reason I would imagine that they overturned that. I'm not sure if that's right. Like I said, we don't know what a takedown is, but yeah, just the way he pops back up and then goes into that roll instead of getting duck under behind and then rolling right away. I think it was because it was a separate action, like in football, it's a catch. Did you make a football move? I think they were considering Gabe Arnold doing a wrestling move by pulling himself up and then rolling.
We changed the verbiage to that instead of reaction time. Can it be to do a wrestling move? Because it makes just as much sense as saying reaction time.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, and I was on the call for the Penn Cornell match, and there were instances where they were reviewing takedowns, and I was certain, like, oh, this is going to overturn. This is definitely a takedown, and then it made me look an idiot because they didn't. I was wrong. Like, I don't know what a takedown is. I've been wrestling I've been on the mat for 30 years now. It's very tough for people that like us that know wrestling. We've been around the sport to confidently say, "Oh, that's a takedown." When we're not, it's not always the case. It's just we need some consistency.
I'm genuinely a fan of just like no reaction time at this point. Like, it's too much, and everybody is so damn good that if you give them these little windows to scramble and roll through and figure out angles, then it's going to happen. And it's just it muddies things up so much. I'd rather at least just like definitively like, hey, hands are down, he's behind him. That's it. Like, yeah, eliminate some of the ambiguity and some of the subjective portion of it to some degree, I believe.
Yeah, I understand why they want reaction time, right? Like, guys are so good at, for lack of a better term, reacting in those situations that they have to add like a split second because of how quickly things move now. But let's call it what it is. Like, reaction time is a sprawl. Reaction time is a down block. That's your reaction time, is your defense. If a guy is hitting a duck under and he's in that position where it can even be misconstrued as a takedown or looked at and said, yes, that's 3, that kind of should negate reaction time. Like, your reaction is everything. It's stopping the takedown from actually happening. That's my thought, right? Like, but I understand why, like, all these things move so quickly. Scrambling wasn't really a thing back in the day. So the reacting to something that happens that quickly, they're trying to give the defensive wrestler some sort of leeway, but like, why does he need it? Right? Like, why does the defensive wrestler need some sort of reaction time or leeway when he could have been in better position, or he could have down blocked or sprawled or got his head in the way or whatever it was? Like, that's where I see your true reaction time. So I'm with you. I think like reaction time is kind of dumb. It's again, I think it's a caveat of like not having the best defense in a certain situation to stop a takedown from happening. So I don't know. That's just my thought. But I would love to change it to Ketty. Did he do a wrestling move to respond? I think
it's kind of crazy, right? I mean, think about the NBA. All right. And just any sport in general, like the best of the best are going to game the system and whatever the rules are to their advantage and try to figure out other angles, right? In the NBA example, it's like, oh, there's this gather step, and then there's these other like steps that you can have now. And so now it's like what we all understood as traveling years ago is just done all the time. You can hop on one foot and jump behind the 3-point line, and it's fine. Just go ahead and do it, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I think they're in an effort to fix it, they've made it more complicated, and we're at a point where it's very hard even for the best and the cleanest wrestlers to secure takedowns, and that's a problem.
That's the same argument with stalling too. Like in an effort to make it more consistent with counts and drop downs and action calls, we've made it much more complicated. Now it's less likely to be called when it actually is just plain ass stalling.
Right.
So it's like we're in our own way again, which is something we do a fantastic job of as a sport.
Yeah. Don't many of the world.
I was going to say we made takedowns 3 points, but now they're way harder to get. So like what advantage is that really? You want to reward the offensive wrestler by giving them a 3-point takedown instead of 2. Well, give them takedowns when there are takedowns, you know, that'll help solve that problem a little bit better as well.
So in the end, are we takedown for Fishback or not?
I think so.
Yeah. Takedown.
Yeah, I think so.
My dad used to say so many of the world's problems were intended to be solutions. And that's always stuck with me.
Very true.
I like that.
Yeah. What other matches during this duel kind of stuck out? Robbie, any thoughts overall on, or any matches that stuck out for you between Iowa and Ohio State round 2?
Mendez is an absolute freak, and that needs to be commented every time he wrestles because it's very fun to watch him wrestle. Feldman Keeter was a good match, kind of boring, but that's kind of what we've come to expect in that matchup. But I've been impressed with Feldman lately. He seems to be much more consistent and dialed in than he was earlier in the year. So I think he's in a good spot. And the other one that I was interested in, seeing Peterson back out there. The Buzakis match was closer than I expected, especially with Peterson having been out for a couple weeks. I was expecting a bigger win from Buzakis, and it was held to a decision. So
Buzakis tried to blow the doors wide open early, though. He continues to be very impressive, and I'm anxious to see how he adjusts
a 3-day cut,
the cut and everything else. Like, not going to be easy whatsoever, but I think he has solidified himself as their starter at 25 with how he's been wrestling. I talked to Jaggers at was that in New Orleans afterwards, and I asked him specifically about that. Like, when do you guys have to make a decision at 25? You got 2 guys there that could be very good, and obviously Buzakis has, I don't want to say weight issues, but he's still figuring out the weight class at 125 and how his body fits into it, at least at that time. Has he figured it out now? I think it's kind of TBD, but we have seen him wrestle very, very well and continues to overpower these guys at 25 and just be so strong. Like, you can see it in how he's wrestling and how confident he's wrestling, that his strength is something that he knows he can really used to his advantage. I'm just hopeful that the leverage game doesn't catch up to him in those situations, because I think that's kind of the only thing that can probably do that. Kevin, your thoughts on Iowa and Ohio State?
Well, just to comment on Bazakis again, I mean, he looks better at 125 than he did at 133.
Yeah.
And during the match, I was like trying to explain to my wife, like, I go, so here's the deal. This guy was like 140 pounder, 141 pounder, but then this other guy is the best in the country at that weight. And so then he dropped down, but then this other kid is the best in the country at that weight. So now he weighs 125 pounds. She was like, that's ridiculous. I'm like, yeah. And he's evidently the second best in the country at 125 pounds.
Get in where you fit in.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I'm happy for him. I also I like that, like, you know, you have like a Luke Lilladall who's got this baby face, and Bazakis has just got like a thick goatee. Just looks like a grown man at 125 pounds. He looks like Peter Dinklage. That's what it is. But like,
maybe a little taller, though, right?
A little taller,
regular,
not a whole lot, but you know,
said a little.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But no, the whole duel was, I mean, it was good. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to comment on. Jesse Mendez, I'm gonna miss him, man. It takes us. Wrestling is a little bit different than a lot of other sports. Like, I'm not sitting there going like, oh man, I'm so bummed that, you know, this Ohio State receiver is going into the draft and he's gone. But like with Jesse Mendez, like, I'm gonna miss watching him compete in, you know, an Ohio State singlet. Like, that guy, we're still going to see him obviously wrestling on the senior stage and doing that sort of thing. But yeah, he's a special wrestler.
Austin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much what you guys said. I like to touch on Ryder Block every time I see him wrestle. You know, yeah, I'm impressed with him. He's a legit Iowa guy. Lost to Styles in overtime. I think Styles is number 7 in Intermat. Mm-hmm. And Block is down to 18. He just seems like better than 18th to me. You know, him sneaking in on the podium would not surprise me in March. He just kind of hangs in there with everybody, wrestles tough. He had that lead on Van Ness. Was that 2 weeks ago at this point? Mm-hmm. Until Van Ness kind of really turned it on. That's kind of his shtick. But yeah, I think Ryder Block, I think he's a little under the radar maybe for some people, but yeah, him ending up on the podium would not surprise me. He just hangs in there tough, and he's one of my favorite Iowa guys right now.
Well, 149 in general is drunk. So yeah. It's like, I was watching, not to jump around too much, but I was watching Central Michigan wrestle SIUE, and it was like, oh, 3rd ranked Caleb Tyus. And I was like, that's wrong. It's like, that's not, is he 3rd in the MAC? And then I was looking it up. I was like, holy shit, he's ranked 3rd at 149 pounds and he's undefeated. And good for him for doing that. And then I was like, Carter Young is 4th. And like, it's just, I'm looking through this and it's like, yeah, there's really, really good wrestlers all the way through this. I mean, you might think, oh, okay, well, he looks better than 18th. 13th is Lachlan McNeil. You know, so like, it's just, there's a lot of really great wrestlers up and down this weight class. And it's just going to be really exciting to see how it works itself out at the end. Yeah. Josh Edmond is 24th. I love Josh Edmond. Anyway.
What a drunk ass weight class.
Mm-hmm.
Go home. Accurate description.
Yeah, go home, 149.
Yeah. Speaking of getting drunk, Rutgers upsets Minnesota, and I'm pretty sure that they partied in Jersey.
Is that a Costco reference?
Yes. What do we make of this one? We've had Minnesota beats Iowa. Now we've had Rutgers beating Minnesota. Like, just wild. Yeah, this is gonna make Big Ten so much fun, and this is another reason why the dual championship is so needed.
Mm-hmm.
This really is just needed. Like, man, because it's so amazing, and you know that Jersey Mike's was exploding when all of this was happening. You know that they were going absolutely nuts and having such a damn good time in Jersey Mike's. get a huge upset. But Robbie, what do you make of this Rutgers win over Minnesota?
Jory Volk lost to Aiden Smith.
Correct.
Right. So I'm looking at Jory Volk's record. He is 18-4. His 4 losses are to Nick Bouzakis at national duels, Brady Rourke from South Dakota State, Vinny Kilkeary in the Ohio State duel, and now to Aiden Smith. So 1 starter in the entirety, 1.5. Because that's some interesting losses for Volk, who most had penciled in as a high AA coming into the year. And I mean, Rutgers was kind of on this whole duel, and it started early and just kept rolling. That one I was super impressed by. Lenny Pinto actually getting a good win was a nice change, because he's lost some stupid matches this year that he has no business losing. And I like seeing him do it well. So I was happy to see that. And then Remy Cotton with the pin was also pretty impressive.
Overtime pin too.
Yeah.
Like that's
you don't see those very often.
No.
Luke Augustine got some back points in overtime against Singleton, but he didn't get the pin.
Yeah. I mean, that really was huge. And you saw the excitement on the coaching staff and the team.
Yeah.
I mean, and they had obviously been battling. I'm blanking on the 197 from Minnesota, but he looked completely spent at that point in the match,
Gavin Nelson.
Yeah, Gavin Nelson. Yeah. Who's wrestled tough this year too. I mean, like he had a good match with Joey. No, was it Joey Novak? I think it was Joey Novak earlier this year. So, but yeah. So basically, what I've learned, Minnesota's better than Iowa. South Dakota State and Rutgers are better than Minnesota. Oklahoma's better than Rutgers. So Oklahoma's like a top 5 team. Probably.
Oh fuck! Now you're gonna have that Cradle Zone kid.
Don't tell me
stuff now.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, blessed.
He probably just learned transitive property like last week too. He's what, like 16?
If so,
I'll tell you what. I love the kid's effort. I love the kid's effort.
Yeah.
I got nothing bad to say about the effort.
Mm-hmm.
A little misplaced.
Execution.
Yeah. Sometimes we're a little.
The effort
is
there.
Off.
If you want takes at things that have happened since 2012.
No, though it is nice though, because it's refreshing to get a viewpoint of most Penn State fans, because they haven't known wrestling existed before 2012 either. Mm-hmm. So you're really getting it, but from an Oklahoma perspective instead of Penn State. So there's my Penn State hater glasses for the weekend.
He's also 17. A lot of Penn State guys are adults, so
71 mostly, I think, is the
median. Yeah. You go into a Penn State dual meet, a lot of white hair in
it's like
in
an
those
AFB
front rows.
Meeting.
Yeah, a lot of white hair in those front rows. So a little bit different. The fan base definitely older at Penn State, but just as naive as the
and you see those ticket sale numbers they just put out, and they made $1.6 million in ticket sales last year.
That's awesome.
Which was like 200,000 less than men's basketball, which is crazy. Their basketball team is garbage, but
of the people that bought those tickets, what percentage of them would you say know who Phil Davis is?
1%.
Probably like 40.
Or realize, or even know that when Phil Davis wrestled in the Penn State lineup, that his singlet had the periods on it.
Mm-hmm.
The PSU had dots in between each one of those letters.
Could they recognize Kerry McCoy?
Oh. I mean, I don't think most could. He was enormous back then compared to what
he was gigantic.
Now.
He's
small now.
Yeah.
Still intimidating, but not as freaky though.
Awesome.
Not as look like he's gonna murder you in rage. Large.
Super nice guy.
I love Kerry.
I'll always get excited anytime I see my phone light up and it's Kerry McCoy. Because, like I said, he was a guy I looked up to and was, I don't want to say coached by, but learned from at camp, at Lehigh camp. So, like, just one of those guys that you were like, this dude is a monster, and listening to anything that he can possibly give me. And now I just get text messages from him normally. So it's very weird. It's kind of a very weird full circle moment. But no, back to Rutgers. This duel
We really went off the rails there.
We really did. We
Thanks, Claunch.
You're welcome.
Jeez.
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah, I think I started that by saying not to get too off track.
Nah, we zig and zag a little bit. I think our fan base knows this at some point. I thought I was seeing double, and I forgot that both teams have an Andrew Clark in their lineup. Rutgers has Andrew Clark in their lineup at 149, and Minnesota has Andrew Clark at 165. Both won, so good day to be Andrew Clark if you're wrestling at Jersey Mike's. But just kind of looking up and down this lineup and seeing how they started off really hot. You know, we talked about Aiden Smith and his win over Jory Volk, and then it was followed up obviously by Dylan Shalver. So Von Bauer poured some water on that pretty quickly by Tech falling Mason Gibson, but then it was, you know, back-to-back wins again, right? So honestly, just like a very good showing for Rutgers, obviously, but they showed up, and it was just the atmosphere from what I was watching seemed a little bit different, right? Like it was like they went into this duel knowing that they had the matchups and that they could win, right? It was just a very different attitude, something that I think we used to see when Schnalte was mobbing in the lineup was the attitude that I feel like they went into this duel with. And I feel like if they were to continue this, they would be a very good team again, right? They haven't had the best lineup or at least the best results as of late, but it was just like, that Jersey chip on their shoulder is what seemed to be there. And it started from the very beginning with Aiden Smith. Robbie, your thoughts on this duel?
It was fun. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. They haven't had that like Jersey grittiness recently, and you kind of saw that on display, like the attitude and the swagger that Schnalte had and that Soriano had when he was in the lineup. I think they've been missing that, and that's a big part of, you know, kind of getting the team going, especially in a duel. But I was impressed. They've got the tools and they've got the talent in that lineup, and they just haven't really all clicked at the same time, and they seem to in this duel. So it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, Austin.
I'll put on my t-shirt hoodie, represent Rutgers here. Shout out Steve Middich, fan and friend of the podcast. Coach Goodell, talked to him at Keystone Classic. They listen to us too, so shout out to them. But yeah, I'll be honest. I saw the results and I was curious, thinking to myself, I wonder if Minnesota had anyone out. Looking at the box scores, they didn't. You know, Rutgers came and they upset some guys, like you mentioned, Smith. Clark won at 49. Tony White over Charlie Millard, who's been having a great year in overtime. Remy Cotton had that win at 97. You know, so yeah, they definitely strung it together. I don't know if it was Jagger night at Jersey Mike's or not. You know, maybe putting on for number one fan there for Jagger, but yeah, and that's even without Joey O in the lineup too, who's still, I think, coming back from injury soon. So yeah, you get Joey O in that lineup and they wrestle like that, they'll be a really tough team for sure.
Yeah, and wondering if Minnesota was missing guys isn't necessarily a shot at Rutgers, but it's more of a testament of how they've competed as of late, right? And now you see how they came into this one, and you're like, man, what was the difference, right? Was it Minnesota missing guys? Was it Rutgers really showing up? Really, what was it? Claunch, your thoughts overall on this duel?
Just in general, it's exciting. I mean, like, you know, I kind of touched on it earlier, and the Big Ten, I mean, you know, you've got your Penn States and your Ohio States. And again, we're going to get to that particular matchup here in a minute, but so many of these guys are looking for seeding at the Big Ten tournament. They're looking to put themselves in a really strong position. I mean, we're really getting a lot of guys, with the exception of, you know, a couple injuries here and there. Like, guys are healthy and they're looking to compete and they're looking to battle. And so that's been super fun to watch. And that's the thing. You got all these guys in the lineup, and you go see who's better that day, and Rutgers got it done. The Scarlet Knights attacked, got their swords out, started stabbing Gophers.
Shout out to Nick Costco for that great call too when they sealed the deal.
That was a good call.
That was all time.
Yeah. So I think we can wrap up Big Ten, at least the the big headliners that we had, move over to the ACC headliner. And Robbie, you were once again at Virginia Tech. You got a chance to talk to Coach Robbie, and obviously we'll get to his thoughts on their upcoming duel. But what were your thoughts on that one? And then also want to get your thoughts on NC State versus Pitt. That one came down to final match, grudge match in the end of that one at the heavyweight in the heavyweight weight class. But what were your thoughts on NC State Pitt as well as Virginia Tech's win over Virginia this week?
Virginia Tech, Virginia was at Charlottesville. It was the in-state rivalry. They call it the Commonwealth Clash. This was the 15th straight now that Virginia Tech has won. So they've certainly dominated the last decade and a half. Final, this one was 32-7, and it was not even as close as that score indicated. There was one big upset with Winton Denkins getting a takedown in the third period over Colin Guy to get the upset there. Guy rolled his ankle early in the first and just wasn't the same person that he has been. Wasn't able to kind of push off that and shoot or get any leverage on top that kind of has been his go-to for racking up a lot of points. So talked to them today. X-rays were negative, so luckily nothing's broken. They're going to hold him out until it's feeling a little better. So we likely won't see him this weekend against Oklahoma State. So we'll see what they do there. And UNC on Friday. They have a busy weekend. And not to take anything away from Winton Denkins. There's a mosquito in here for some reason. Because he's been impressive this year, and he can shoot on anybody. He's really fast. His reshot is super impressive, and that's how he got Guy. It was a low double on a reshot, and that's been kind of his bread and butter, getting to those shots. There was a really weird exchange on the edge where Guy, I thought he had a takedown. Thought he had a control, kept his hand and his foot in bounds. That's what it looked like on replay. And that was really late in the third, like 10 seconds left. So I thought he was able to come back and get the win there. The refs reviewed it and said it was not beyond reaction time, didn't give the takedown.
Damn reaction time.
Dude, let me tell you how fucking terrible these refs were. So generally, Scott is a really good ref. He's the head ref. He's an ACC guy. The second ref is not somebody who does a lot of ACC stuff. He's out of Texas, and I was very, very unimpressed by him. I made the comment during the duel that this is the most I've ever seen a second official try to be involved in a match. He was calling people out of bounds, and when they weren't out of bounds, I think it was in Ventresca's match. There was a takedown on the edge where his feet were very much like a foot still in bounds, and the second official called it out of bounds. And there was 2 or 3 other calls where he inserted himself, and it's not something you usually see from a second official. And Scott, the head official, was very much not on his game. Super inconsistent takedowns, back points, just a lot of weird shit. It was not impressive. There was like 7 reviews in the first 5 weights, and it was a very, very slow duel because of that. So, kind of coming back to the same thing. Consistency is not there that we need to see from the officials. And I really hope it's something we can figure out. Other notes on that one, Gable Porter got a good win, got another major decision over Drew Gorman. Tom Crook was out, and that gives Porter the national lead for major decisions. So that's kind of cool. The thick milkshake is in the mix at 41, and otherwise super dominant performance from Virginia Tech. Kind of put that one away pretty handily. The Pitt NC State duel was really fun. It's kind of what we've seen from Pitt all year, where they kind of weather the storm at the lower weights and don't give up a lot of points, and then the upper weights is where they come back and pick up their wins. And that is, pretty much what happened there. It was a lot of really close matches down low. Let me pull up the score real quick. The one that stood out to me, Zach Redding has been kind of hot and cold all year, but he picked up an important 2-0 decision over Talmadge, 33. Bisgins bounced back. Ryan Jack bounced back. Dylan Evans looked good at 57.
Was wild in the end.
Yes. That was a weird little scramble. Don't take. I mean, Cade Brown is good, and he's one of those guys that I said at the beginning of the year, keep an eye on him because he's got a serious load of potential, and you kind of saw some flashes of against Bisgins, but I think he's one of those guys when it finally clicks for him, he's going to be really dangerous. The biggest upset was Augustine over Singleton. This is like 3 weeks in a row that Singleton's had really close matches. He always wrestles close with Luca, but went to overtime. I went sudden victory. Augustine got takedown and back points to win 7-2. And then it came down to 285. Isaac Trumbull put it away again against Pitzer. Pretty slow match, honestly, for both of them. I think the takedown was in the late second, early third period for Trumbull that put it away, but it was off of a Pitzer shot, and he was able to kind of sit through and come behind it to get the takedown and rode him out in 1-5-2. So that's 2 ACC duels now that Isaac Trumbull has put it away for the pack.
Yeah. And after the duel, who was it? Rock and Sean had Trumbull on doing an interview, and he talked about his journey back to the mat and, how much his wife helped, but then just about the grudge match in and of itself between him and Pitzer. And it was just like, he talked about his John Cena, you can't see me type thing. So like it definitely is one of those matches and dual meets that means a lot to NC State, right? Like they get up for Virginia Tech. That is the one that decides the ACC just about every year. But this one between NC State and Pitt, there's a little bit something to it too. There's an edge to it, and you could see that watching that duel over the weekend, especially that Bisgins match. Like they were going at it in that final. What was it, like 30 seconds? Like it was
a sprint there. But the last few years, there's been some weird upsets in that duel that I think has kind of set that tone. And we got another one there with Singleton losing to Augustine. Like it seems to be at least one match every time in that duel that there's an upset, and it's kind of makes things a little more chippy and mean a little bit more to them. I think Trumbull's taken a lot of these matches kind of personally with the way his ACCs went last year with the knee injury and not being able to get the title that he was hoping for. So I think he's got a little chip on his shoulder from that. So I think that's propelling him a little bit. That and a great beard. He looks better with the mustache, but he does have a good beard right now. So I'll give him that.
Yeah, good duel overall. Great wrestling in the ACC over the weekend.
And UNC put it on Duke. Kind of expected. The 3 wins were what we expected for Duke.
Expected. So we talked. I know this isn't on schedule right now, but since we've mentioned the Big Ten, we mentioned the ACC, and both those conferences, and obviously there's conferences where teams are not very good, but Iowa obviously thumped Michigan State as expected, but like, you had tweets over the weekend about people talking about like, what does Michigan State do during practice, right? Like, what is Duke doing during practice? Like, they just don't have good results, like, unless they wrestle each other, which I don't even think that they do. I don't know if they do or not, but it's been so long that either one of these teams has had like a true upside for like things, like good things happening. Claunch, I'm going to come to you with being a Michigan man. What are, and I know we've talked about it before, like Michigan State can do so much better, but what are your thoughts on just like year after year, the bar is being lowered, essentially, is what it looks like.
So it is interesting because they did just beat Northwestern in a dual meet. So I will
teams that have dropped precipitously.
And with Northwestern, though, that makes a little bit more sense, right? I mean, they've had a lot of people transfer. They also are a very difficult school to get into. They also have huge, crazy tuition. Like, there's a lot of things where that is more explainable than Michigan State. Michigan State should be a better program. But we talked about this earlier this year, right? Where it's like, it's about the administration, I think, so much more than necessarily the coaches. Like, And that's like, I know that they do not support that program there. You know, they have other things on their mind, and the facilities have not been updated in many, many, many years. You can only do so much with what you have. Now, I'm not going to say that everything's going great, because that would be disingenuous and ignoring a whole lot of factors here. But I will say that, like, so Remy Cotton was at Michigan State, transfers away. They have Cale Whistler, who is a very good 197-pound wrestler and is probably going to make the NCAA tournament. I believe he was a qualifier a couple years ago, or was maybe an alternate, but is a really, really good wrestler. They lose their Venadia gets hurt this year. I think it was Max Venadia gets hurt. He was a heavyweight that was, ranked for them. And they've got Josh Terrell right behind him, who was a starter a couple years back for them and stuck with the program and is wrestling pretty well for them as well. And then you've got Caleb Weand, who was an NCAA qualifier last year at 125 pounds. Good wrestler there. Darius, they always say Marinas on the pot, on like Big Ten Plus, but it's spelled Marines. So I'm going to call him Darius Marines, because that's a much cooler name.
Way cooler.
Like there's work to do. All right. There is work to do. But if I'm a Michigan State fan, I'm at least being able to say, like, hey, there's something here. It's not all doom and gloom. Like, I would be much more interested in having the administration get more interested in making some changes there. Because it's not perfect, but there's some things to point to and say, hey, like, there's something here.
Yeah. Robbie, on your end of things, like I said, it's Duke in the ACC. What do you make of that? Should there be changes? Should there be, like, what's the outlook on Duke?
I mean, I don't think it would matter who you bring in as a coach, because it's the same thing. It's not a coaching issue. It's an institutional issue. It's a administration, athletic administration, that doesn't give a shit about the program, doesn't fund the program, doesn't have scholarships for the program. How are you expecting to bring in the top talent into a very difficult school to get into, a very expensive school to get into, without any sort of money, any sort of athletic support, any sort of scholarship? And then when you get to the program, they still don't seem to give a shit about you. Like, they're an afterthought. And it wasn't until just a couple of years ago, when Coach K finally retired, they were even allowed to use Cameron, right? They weren't allowed to be in there. They weren't allowed to have their matches in Cameron when Coach K was a coach. So they were off in a secondary gym. Like, they're very much an afterthought. And, I think Glenn is a fantastic coach. I think Tom Erickson's a fantastic coach. And the success that they have had with individuals can't be understated. I mean, you look at the Fine Silvers, you look at Jacob Casper, you look at Connor Hartman. Like, there's been a lot of really good guys who have come through there, multiple time All-Americans, and they weren't top recruits, right? They were mid-tier recruits who came to Duke because Duke is a really good school and they wanted to wrestle in college, and they made the most of their opportunities. And so they left as All-Americans, but they also left with a Duke degree and the connections that come with that are worth a fuck of a lot more than small scholarship. But nothing will change until everything changes, until the entire approach to the program changes. And there's so many programs that are like that. I mean, I would honestly argue to a point that Virginia's like that. I don't think they get the support that they should get. And some of their recent results are doing parts of that, because they're not getting the support that they need to be successful in the current climate of our sport. Like, we know what it takes. We know what type of investment needs to be made by administration, by donors, by fundraising. And if teams aren't making that mark, and if administration's not putting in that work, then they're not going to be there. It doesn't matter who the recruits are.
Well said. Well, I think we all want to see improvements with these programs. Sorry, something in my eye. Because we've seen the other side.
Did I make you cry?
You did. You hit me right in the feels. I think we want to see improvement with these programs, because we've seen the other side of it, right? We don't want to have another one of these save whatever hashtags. And if we do, I don't see a lot of teams or a lot of fans running to help these programs because they become an afterthought within their own conferences and within, and the fan bases aren't there. So like, Cal State Bakersfield, I'm sure everybody is like, that is behind trying to save this program is pushing very hard internally. But maybe I'm just missing it. The push for Stanford was way bigger, right? The push for Stanford was enormous. I
don't think you see that. That's a conference issue too. I mean, Cal Baptist is
Cal
a
Baptist,
smaller school. Yeah. They're a smaller school.
Yeah,
they don't have nearly the footprint that Stanford had to get the backing that they got. But
hasn't there been like a donor that has
they're,
come in for them too, though, that is saying that like he'll write a check of whatever?
I'm not sure. I know that the public facing fundraising is over $1 million.
Yeah,
which is fantastic. But they're trying to get 20 million to endow the whole entire program, which is a huge pull, right? So I mean, I don't feel like 20 million is realistic. And from what we hear from the administration, they're saying it doesn't matter how much money they raise, that the program's gone. So that kind of comes back to the same thing, where it's a structural issue, not a coaching issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we don't need to have another one of these hashtags. Go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, when all this NIL talk started coming, I was one of the guys on the rooftop saying, like, hey, let's pump your brakes here, because I was looking at it from the small school standpoint. Those are the schools that cover the EIWAs, the Ivies. They're different than the Big 10 and the Big 12 schools, where you can inject millions of dollars and make them good. That I think people were maybe
and millions of debt, as we've seen.
Also that too, yeah. But I think that's where people were a little short-sighted, like, oh, let's get the athletes paid. You don't want athletes paid? I said, I'm not saying that. I'm saying this is going to really, expand the differences between the top and then the bottom teams. The top teams that can afford with money, they're going to get a lot better. Great. But what about those small schools that are barely surviving now before NIL? It's just an excuse for teams to get cut. And maybe it's a little pessimistic of me to say that, but we're kind of seeing that come to light here, where the top of the top are kind of separating themselves from the middle pack, and definitely lower tiers are really hurting. So it's just a shame.
It is. I think we got off on a nice little tangent, so let's wind it on back. I do want to talk EIWA before we move to a little bit of freestyle and then into next week. Austin, what went down in the EIWA last week, and what were our headliners?
Like I mentioned, Miles Tackett's had the big upset of the week. Took down Danny Wask of Navy. Bucknell beat Drexel, wrestled them very well. I was at that match for alumni night. Really spicy. Coaches were going at it in the corner. A lot of challenge bricks getting thrown, some pushing and shoving after the whistle. So really intense rivalry there between those two. Just going down the list here, American defeated Morgan State. Army West Point beat entire island of Long Island in Hofstra and LIU predominantly. Binghamton went to Sacred Heart and beat them up pretty well. Bucknell dropped a close one to Navy. Kind of mentioned that off the top. Bryce Monera had a nice win over Ferretti. Tackett's beat Wask, like I mentioned. And then, just a lot of close matches back and forth there. Hofstra LIU wrestle Monday night, which is when we're recording, so that's the Battle of Long Island there.
Lehigh already lost the island though, so
that is true. People I went to school called it Strong Island, and I'm not sure if that's still what they call it now, but
it's a battle for the remains.
Same thing with the
Long
people
Island.
I went to school with.
Yeah, we're about the same age, Holmes. I'm not sure if that's still a thing or that's a generation.
I hope it's not.
Nobody in Nebraska said anything about Strong Island.
Morgan State again, 0-2 in the weekend, but shout out to Eugene Harney, 149-pounder, wrestled at Campbell last year. Looks like to be the top dog in the EIWA right now. Was in the coaches rankings. Has a nice RPI win percentage. Will probably earn an allocation for them. 23-4 in the year now, so he's having a great year. Good to see a bright spot there in Morgan State, and they have some guys that are hurt, banged up, so they're just going to keep getting better next year. I keep talking about them; they'll be good. Like I said, Navy had a good win, and then Sacred Heart lost to Binghamton. And then in the Ivies, the big matchup was kind of brought it up before, Penn and Cornell. Cornell traveled to Princeton the night before, beat them pretty handily, and then wrestled Penn the next day. And pretty tight match. Came down to heavyweight. Cornell stuck it out, but Jackson Joy looked really, really good at 149. 57 Shapiro beat Swisher. I think he kept that to decision. So Swisher got tech followed by him last year. So it's good to see Swisher close that gap a little bit. But yeah, I think going back to Joy, he's tough, man. There were a few takedowns that were right at the buzzer on the edge that he just couldn't get. So the score was pretty close, but I feel like Joy kind of dominated that match over Wazowski, who was number 6 or 7 in the country, just kind of dominated him, and Cross didn't have an answer for him. I have never seen Cross kind of so lost in a match before, just the way Joy handles that match. And that dude is tough on top. One of the best guys to watch on top with that figure 4, far side cradle, everything he hits there. It's pretty fun to watch and
hard to stop.
Yeah, for sure. So he's going to be good. Good to see Greg Giacomo-Hollis in the lineup for Cornell 25. I found it interesting. Lou Sergio started the year at 165 for Cornell, weighed in at up to 182. So talking to Cornell Kevin, looks like Hansen was having a hell of a year for them at 84, probably out for the year now. So Sergio, too much of a weight cut. Could move up to 74 because Ruiz is number 2 in the country there. So made the jump to 84. Getting some mat time there. Looked a little undersized, obviously, but a week ago he wrestled 65. Now he's at 84. Quite a jump there. So I thought that was interesting to see. And, like you guys mentioned before, can't fit in the lineup, find a way to do it, whether it's cut down 2 weight classes or jump up 2 like he did. So, we'll see more from him at 184.
Yeah, going up seems a lot more fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
Eating is way more fun.
Yeah.
It's hard to do though. They say, "Oh, just eat," but it's like I'm already eating, and you're still undersized. It's tough to do, but
you're still wrestling in practices for hours. Like you lose weight. Like yeah, it does take a minute to hold that weight on.
Yeah. Speaking of holding weight on, Yazdani is
he's holding that weight on and in and around.
He is up, my friends, and Buchanan did not welcome him very nicely. 13-3 tech fall for Buchanan. Iowa Hawkeye Wrestling Club comes home with a couple of golds. I think it was Spencer DeSanto
and
Buchanan all brought home some gold. Gave them a shout out and gave literally everybody that competed in this tournament and brought home some hardware a shout out. But what did we make of Buchanan over Yazdani? I know a lot of people probably expected Yazdani to dominate, but Buchanan comes out and he's like, no, I'm ready to be one of these guys. I'm ready to be a threat to our own guy in the weight class, but I'm taking out dudes that have been all over the world stage for longer than we can remember at this point. Kevin, your thoughts on Buchanan teching Yazdani?
I mean, it was super impressive. I don't know what I thought his ceiling was going to be in the freestyle scene. But yeah, I mean, it appears to be really high. He's got a great attack rate. He's finishes shots quickly. He's just transitioned excellently there. Another guy who's been doing this, not to just be full of tangents today, but Parker Kekheisen, I was texting you guys, like that guy's ceiling at freestyle is way higher than I thought it was going to be too.
That's good.
Yeah, but just in general, it's always great to have. I mean, I think I talked last week about how bummed I was to not bummed, but I miss Jordan Burroughs, and David Taylor's obviously retired now from competing, and Kyle Dake's realistically, like all the getting younger jokes aside, like he's going to be gone soon. Like we're losing some studs, right? So it's great to see some of these young dudes coming in here, bursting onto the scene by, getting a tech fall over Yazdani. And I don't care, like, if David and Yazdani want to shake hands and pat each other on the back and be like, oh, I respect him. Fuck that shit. Go kick his ass. And Stephen Buchanan was like, I don't respect shit. I'm going to kick the shit out of you. And then he did. And I loved it.
And we started out the show seeing what kind of dad Austin was going to be as he parented Kevin. Now we see how Kevin is as a coach with his young kids. Like,
yeah,
fuck that guy. Don't go shake his hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Make that guy
for losers.
Yeah, exactly.
Incredible. Austin, your thoughts on Buchanan over Yazdani? Were you surprised by it? I'll be honest, I was.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit. I didn't see the entire match. I just saw kind of some highlights. I did see Yazdani was up at the break 2-1, something like that. He was up by a point. It was close, and then Buchanan kind of poured it on. Again, not taking anything from Buchanan, just makes you wonder how ready was Yazdani. He just had surgery, right? Didn't he?
He conceded a couple of times. He took a shot. It looked like he kind of alligator armed it a little bit, being underneath with that shoulder.
Yeah, but it's, again, props to Buchanan for going out there and putting it on him, and it's good to see Hawkeye Wrestling Club with some upper weights succeeding at the international level.
They needed some good news after that weekend.
Yeah, they're strong in the lower weights with Spencer Lee and Dennis going back, Gilman before him too. So yeah, it's good to see someone at the upper weights kind of make moves internationally, and I'm glad it's Buchanan kind of bounced around a little bit, finally found a home in Iowa, and now making the most of it. So yeah, it was good for DeSanto too. That match, he definitely got screwed in. Thankfully, I mean, we talked about it too. He handled it very well. I was a little shocked at how well he handled it, because a different situation, a different mindset for DeSanto, he would have gone berserk and would have had probably not be allowed to leave the country, right? But he handled it very well, got gold. So
this might not be fair, but we already brought up the parenting piece of it. So let me, like, what was he doing? He was standing there and he was like, do you not understand what I'm saying here? And was, again, like, cordially saying that. But that sounds to me like a person who's had other people say that to him a lot of times. You know what I mean? Like, he's losing his shit. It's like, do you not understand that you can't put someone in a Kimura during a wrestling match?
That was
one time. Cartwheel to a Kimura in a wrestling match.
That is one time.
Too many. It's too many times. Yeah. So, but no, I mean, this was funny to me. And again, like, I'm maybe it's a cheap shot. He did a really good job. He bounced back. He won the tournament. Like, and yeah, he's been fun to watch. And it's been great because the international guys don't know that he's just gonna grab your tricep really hard and hit a fireman
and leave marks in your in your armpits.
Yeah, and hopefully Roman Bravo Young doesn't start telling people what's coming, because that's the move. But no, it was good for him, for real.
Yeah, I just don't know how the situation happened either. With he was winning, but the table didn't show it right.
Stupid computers.
Criteria.
How do you screw that up? Yeah, come on. Like,
you have one job.
How do you not re-wrestle that time period? Like,
he didn't know he was losing.
Okay, we understand. Like, criteria was wrong. Okay, that's a software error, maybe, I don't know. But knowing that changes everything about the last however many seconds of the match. And you don't wrestle the same way if you're winning and just trying to avoid being scored on as you do if you're losing and trying to go after points. So it's, I don't know. That's one of those weird things about international wrestling, that we have the ability to review things and look at calls, but why aren't we making this situation right? And, I commented on it after I saw it, but, I've probably been more critical. Let me just say it nicely. I've been more critical of DeSanto than most people.
Where you were going with that one?
Yeah. I'm going to watch my language this time, but he did. He handled himself very well. And that very much could have been a situation where he went off the rails and reacted poorly, because it was something that was completely out of his control. And he was very much wrong in that situation. So that's, kudos to him. And I see that as growth, and I think that's great. that's what we should be looking for as these athletes continue their career, is continued growth personally and professionally. So kudos to him. I got to shout out my guy Henson. Got bronze at 70 with a close semifinal loss to the Georgian Kimmer Taladze. I don't know how to say it. Won his first two matches really well. It was pretty gritty. In that first match, you can see Iranian had a big win over the Belarusian, then lost close to the Georgian, and won over this guy named Musakayev. If you've heard of him,
good.
He's kind of been around a little bit, but he went over him for bronze. So, good stuff for Caleb. His first international senior level tournament, wrestled really well. Gracie lost in the bronze match. He also looked pretty good. And the other one that really stood out to me for a completely different reason is what the hell happened with Zahid. He won his first round match and then lost 11-0.
Yeah, he's not looking very Zahid like. So
yeah,
no, it's to be determined, I guess, on Zahid. Luckily it's not the World Championships like next week, but it is certainly a concern between his loss to Kekheisen and now another loss here. He hasn't looked like himself.
Yeah, and then Trent looked good as well, getting silver. Beat the Iranian. Beat another Iranian, then a close match over Mike Mock, which hurts my heart to watch those two wrestle.
Yeah.
But then he forfeited in the finals to the same Iranian he beat the first round. So this weird bracketing of this pool tournament.
Yeah. I think he was a little bit banged up, which is what.
Yeah, it's just not worth it. You already beat him once. You're getting the ranking points, so move on with your day. You're good.
So we talked about folk style. We went in Big Ten, EIWA, ACC. We hit some freestyle with Buchanan, Yazdani, as well as the rest of the guys and girls that placed in Croatia. I think the only other shout out I think we missed is literally shouting out Jamil and Trent for going straight from the tournament in Croatia, flying straight to Pitt. I had a text from Jamil. He was like,
I did that too.
Yeah, he was like, had it. He's like, we just got to Pittsburgh now. He's like, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning for me. Like I'm dragging right now. So shout out to those guys, full on Ironman, going from a completely different country straight to a duel, right into coaching and, being there for the team. So hell of a good job by those guys. But now let's jump to, I know we normally don't do this. We're only going to give you guys one episode this week. So we're going to jump to what's coming up this week. And we're going to start with, I guess, the reason why we even started the show, which was like the conference crossover, which was like almost 2 years ago, I think, at this point. And it was because of duels like Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State and Penn State, and, ACC wrestling, Big Ten, which is what we were covering back then. And then obviously we brought in Austin with the EIWA and things like that, because there was just so much more crossover. And now we've got this. But let's go to Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, and let's make some picks. I know we haven't done this in a while, but let's make some picks. I think that there's a good amount of toss-ups in this one. And it's starting at 125. I think these guys have met twice.
Yeah, Spratley's 2-0.
And Spratley's 2-0, but I still deem this to be a toss-up. I mean, I think, Spratley, first time they met, 10-1 with a major decision, but last time they met was tiebreaker 6-4. So
semifinals.
Definitely a toss-up for this one. Claunch, what are you thinking? You taking Spratley or are you taking Eddie Van Treska in this one?
I'm taking Spratley. He's looked really good this year. I think the bigger the match, the better he shows up. Was it Cliff Keen? I think that was the first time I watched those two. No, hold on.
Might have been 12-19.
Yeah. No, that was a duel.
Was the duel that year?
Yeah, they were in down at Oklahoma State last year.
That's right. Okay. That's right, because Ventresca lost to Ramos, I think, in the finals last year. Anyway, I don't know. I just like him. I think his body style is tough for Ventresca, being a little bit taller and lankier. And I'm gonna go. He's gonna win the third.
There you go. Austin, your pick: Ventresca or Spratley?
I like Eddie V. Super solid, tough to score on, keeps matches close. Just knocked off Robinson, who won the whole damn thing last year. So I like Eddie V.
Has he? And Robbie, you would know this before you make your pick. Ventresca hasn't lost to Robinson yet, has he? Isn't he undefeated against Robinson?
He's undefeated. Yep.
Thought so. Guessing you're going Ventresca on this one, Robbie?
Until I see something different, I have Eddie Ventresca winning the national championship this year. He is very dialed in, and I think he's kind of got that look in his eye like he's on a mission. And until I see somebody stop him, I don't think it's happening. I like the way he looks. I like the way he's been wrestling. I think he can score on anybody, and he can stop anybody from scoring in the country. So I'm going Eddie here.
I'm going Spratley on this one. I think Spratley has been wrestling very well as Eddie V, but I think Spratley has the edge on this one. And is this one in Oklahoma State?
No, it's at Tech.
It's in Tech. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So I was gonna say even bigger win for Spratley, I think, if it was at Oklahoma State, but no, I still give Spratley the win. I don't think this one goes to tiebreaker though, but I do think it's like a 1-2 point match. Let's move to 33. And first question is, do you think we get Jax Forrest? Robbie, what are you thinking here at 33? Do you think we get Jax Forrest for the last time, or do they continue to wait and they throw him out there on ESPN when they take on Iowa?
I don't think we see him this weekend. I think if they keep him at 5 dates, it'll be against Iowa, but I don't think they're going to keep him at 5 dates. I think they're going to run with him. And I could see him go and hit an open this weekend to get some more matches for his match count, but I don't think he'll make the trip to Virginia. As much as I would like to see that match, I don't think it's happening this weekend.
Yeah. Austin, do we see Jax Forrest, or are you thinking like Robbie is?
Yeah, I agree. Just from what I've seen and talking to a few people, it seems like he's not going to wrestle. So I'm not sure if Ramirez has any dates left, or they're going to throw Richie Figs out there. If it's one of those two, give me Seidel by Tech Fall.
Yeah, give me Seidel by Tech Fall on all of them. That dude's a monster.
I don't know about over Jax, but yeah, if it's
but he's a freak.
He is.
Yeah. Claunch, your thoughts? Do we get Jax Forrest, or is it Aaron Seidel teching one of Ramos or former national champion at this point?
Yeah, it's gonna be Seidel teching one of those two other dudes. Which sucks because it's like, I don't know. It's tough because it's like you kind of want to have that last date for the Iowa duel and to be able to use that and throw them out there for that. That would be super fun and exciting. But then it's like, oh, well, Seidel's awesome. It's like, yeah, Ayala, despite his record, still a 2-time NCAA finalist, right? So
yeah,
like, you pair that.
You can wrestle somebody who's 16-0, or you can wrestle somebody who's 6-7.
Correct. But I just feel like you pair both of those two things, the Iowa and the finals piece, goes a long way.
No, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wish he hadn't wrestled against Little Rock. That doesn't help anybody.
I know. As much as I would love to see this state finals rematch, I don't think it's gonna be happening. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think this is where Seidel gets even more bonus points. I mean, so far he's 3-0 in the lineup, correct? And it's been all pins. So I think he continues 2 pins and a tech fall. I think he continues down this very, very dominant path of just leaving guys in the dust as he picks up bigger and bigger falls.
In ACC competition, he is 3-0. He beat Knox 12-0, That's his only non-tech fall or Penn in the year. He beat Zach Redding 16-0. He beat Marlon Yarborough 15-0. So that's 43-0 in the ACC, including a win over an All-American.
Is that good?
He's a freak.
The
I'm telling you, he looks like he's 12. He's so unassuming, and then he just like
Yeah.
ripping people's faces off.
they have 3 common opponents, and the biggest difference is
The pin over Ortega.
Yeah, Jack's win over Ortega is 4-0, whereas Seidel pinned Ortega. So, man, I would love to see that match. I don't think we're going to get it again just yet, but I think the way that things are shaping up for the future of wrestling, we're going to get that match a lot. Moving to 41, I don't think that's much of a match we really need to pick. I don't think that Tom Crook has very much for Sergio Vega.
Vega's been very impressive this year.
Yeah, he's very hard to beat. I do want to know what are we, and Robbie, obviously we're going to lean on you for this. What do we think we're getting at 49 with Guy being out for Virginia Tech?
Genuinely have no idea. Henson's on redshirt, Ninninger's injured. Chris Baccioni, maybe, or they bump Gorman up.
Bump Gorman up.
I think that's your better bet.
That's probably the best bet. But I mean, the way Swiderski has actually been wrestling really well, so I don't think that's going to be great. You can limit the damage. Is kind of the best you can ask right now.
Yeah,
I don't see that going in favor of the Hokies there with Guy being out.
Yeah,
Guy Swiderski would have been a fun match though.
certainly would have been. What's the next biggest matchup for you, Robbie? I think, is it 97?
Yeah, Sasso and Merrill. I think that could be a really fun match too, because they both can be pretty wide open and let it fly. They're also not afraid to get physical, so that could be a really fun match. Sasso's looked really good recently too.
He has. I mean, I'm taking Sonny Sasso in that one. Yeah, call me a Pennsylvania homer or Lehigh Valley homer all you want. Yes, that's exactly what it is. But I mean, this is another one of those toss-ups. I mean, they're, according to WrestleStat, they're ranked 9 and 10. I don't know if this is. I think these are WrestleStat rankings that are on here, obviously. But
yeah, that's off their.
Give me Sonny Sasso all day in this one.
It's the frosted tips, really. That's what does it.
I mean, sometimes you just got to look like a Backstreet Boy to get these wins. Claunch, who are you taking in this one at 97? Cody Merrill, or you're going Sonny Sasso?
I'm taking Merrill, dude. That guy has looked really good this year. He almost had a win against Rocky Elam. That was a battle between those two dudes, and Elam has looked like a stud pretty much all his career, really. It's kind of easy to forget how good that dude was before getting injured. But yeah, I think Merrill is just gonna keep picking up steam, and I think he's gonna get a big win here.
Austin, you going Sonny Sasso, or you going Merrill?
I would love to see Sonny, but I just think Merrill's too good. He's very good at these low scoring match. Like he's winning 2-0, 1-0, 2-1 all the time with riding points, just keeping it low, controlled.
Well, and that's the crazy thing though, is like they're never not exciting matches.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're not exciting. They're just low scoring. He's very controlled, and Sonny's kind of the opposite of that. So definitely,
he's kind of a gunslinger.
Yeah, it's a clash of style. So I'm very interested in this one. I just think if Sonny can get something on him, great. He might win because Cody's offense isn't fantastic, but he just seems so solid and wins these low scoring matches.
Yeah,
should be fun.
Heavyweight, we going Jimmy Mullen or Connor Doucette? I think Mullen takes this one. It's going to be a very close match. I think it's potentially overtime, but I'm going Mullen. Claunch, who are you taking?
Probably Mullen. I think he's kind of gotten his shit together, for lack of a better term, as the year has developed, and he's really looking like a lot of the guy that people expected him to be, and I'm sure that he expected himself to be, and that's what you like to see. I mean, it's tough when a guy doesn't develop, maybe gives up some upset losses here and there, and then their confidence kind of falls apart. He has not been that guy. He has rebounded well and looked really good the rest of this year.
Austin, your thoughts on 285?
Yeah, I agree. Mullen seems to be wrestling very well lately. Got off to a shaky start. Doucette's tough though. I mean, he wrestles everyone really well, especially his high ranked guys. He's like a 1 point loss to, I think, Ferrari, and then he just lost to somebody else. That's Bastida. That was a really close one as well. So yeah, he can hang in there with the best, but I think Mullen edges him by a point over time, maybe even ride out, something like that.
Robbie, your thoughts on 285?
Yeah, I think that's right. What the biggest difference I've noticed with Jimmy this year is he's figuring out how to win ugly in matches that he would have lost last year. He's figuring out ways to get through it, and I think that's just a sign of maturity for me, and get to the point where he's seeing some of his potential. And I think this is actually a good matchup for him. But I think he gets it done at home.
Nice. So let's turn the page and go into the Big Ten. Made some toss-up picks between the ACC and the Big 12, but now we've got our Big Ten matchup of the week: Penn State and Ohio State. And right off the bat, there's a toss-up. And I think if they start at 25, it will be, I mean, no matter what, it's a big test for Buzakis, right? But I think if they decide to go straight up, it makes it an even bigger test, because he'll have arguably, the best wrestler in the country at 125 pounds. Yes, I understand that Vincent Robinson is the returning national champion, but Luke Lillidahl has made big jumps, and we've seen, how well he's been wrestling this year too. So like Lillidahl, Buzakis is going to be huge, and it's even bigger if they decide, 2 hour weigh in and we're starting at 25. I think either way, I think Buzakis comes ready for this, and I think he gets the 1 point win. So give me Buzakis over Lillidahl. Claunch, your thoughts?
I'm going Lillidahl over Buzakis. We haven't seen the weight cut really give Buzakis too much trouble this year, but if you're asking me which one of these two I trust to make it through a really hard-fought, competitive 7-minute match at the highest level, I'm picking Luke Lillidahl to do that. And even independent of the weight cut portion of it, I've seen enough of this dude over the last 2 years at the college level and overall, like, competitively on the world scene too. Like, this guy is an absolute stud.
Yeah.
And we know he's got a competitive room. Like, I mean, not that, obviously we literally just walked through how tough the lower weights for Ohio State are earlier, but I think he's going to get it done. I think he's a gamer, and I think not winning the national title last year was probably one of the scarier things that you could have as a Luke Lillidahl with a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. Austin, your thoughts here at 125? You going Buzakis or Lillidahl?
I'm taking Lillidahl. I think the pace is going to be a little too much for Buzakis at this time. I think he needs to feel it out, understand what Lillidahl's pressure is. Last 3 matches, Lillidahl's been tech falling dudes left and right. I think he's upped his pace since last year. He was already really good last year. Just adding a little Messenbrink-esque pace to that is just going to do some more damage to guys with a big weight cut like Buzakis. So yeah, I like Luke in this one, just on stamina alone, I think. Unless Buzakis, like you said, catches him early, gets up big with the cradle or something, obviously it's going to change it, but I think Lillidahl's too much.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that Buzakis is going to have to start fast. I mean, at the, possibility of sounding like a football coach, I think he's going to start fast, honestly, in order to kind of gain a big lead on this. I think that's where his head has to be at, because he could end up fading later on in like, later second, third period. Robbie, your thoughts here at 25?
Is this in State College or is it in Columbus?
I think.
I would imagine it would be. It is in Columbus.
I thought it was at Penn State.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I think it's at the Bryce Jordan
It's Bryce
Center.
Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a really close match. I think you kind of hit it on the head there. If Buzakis is able to open it up early, it definitely favors him. I think Lilidal has the edge pretty much everywhere else. So I think it's going to be Lilidal in like a 2-point match.
And Bendavino, I mean, both guys have been wrestling absolutely lights out, right? Like it is, just an incredible young freshman that have been in very high-powered lineups, making very big statements that they are contenders for the title. And we knew, obviously, what Bendavino could do. We saw him last year using his 5 dates. We were unsure of not so much unsure, but obviously Marcus Blaze a little bit different. He's a true freshman, not taking 5 dates, starting right away in this lineup for Penn State. Who are we taking? Austin, you go first.
This one's tough. This is almost a coin flip for me. Just being at Penn State, I might lean Blaze a little bit. Just so hard to score on, so defensively sound. Even though Davino has great offense, it might be tough to break through Blaze. But like you said, they have the past. They've wrestled before. That might mean something. But I just think because it's at Penn State, Blaze just gets a slight edge.
Robbie?
I think I'm going to actually lean Davino in this one. And I don't really have any good reason for it. I think in the interest of wanting it to be a close duel, there's going to need to be some wins and toss-ups like this. And for that reason, I'm going to go with Davino. I would love for this to actually be a close match. It'd be nice to have Penn State have an actual competition. And Ohio State has been a great duel team this year. So I would like to see this be a competitive duel. That would, I think, for the interest of everyone, I think it would be great.
Yeah, give a little bit of parity. Claunch?
It's going to be a competitive duel. I mean, Ohio State could win this duel flat out. And I think I scoffed at that weeks ago when we were talking about this and kind of previewing, but like I've got the numbers here. And if they win at 25, let me see. I picked Bendavino. I'll get to that part first. I think he's just. I've watched a lot of them, and everything I've seen of him is just pace, varied types of attacks. I've just seen enough to be like, until somebody beats that dude, I don't know who's gonna beat him. Like he's probably my favorite at 133 across the board right now. So I'm gonna pick him in this one. But yeah, I mean, like if they win, let's say Holmes, you're right, Buzakis wins. And then they win again at 133. Mendez is going to kick the shit out of whoever they stick out there for Penn State.
Yeah.
They could be up 10-0 after him.
They really could.
That could be something.
They really could. They could be up 12. Like they could be up a lot.
It could be 12-0 if Davino wins by decision, if Buzakis wins by decision, and then Mendez goes out and pins Braden Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very possible.
Wrestles.
Or if they throw that Nate Desmond guy out there again, who just beat Ragusan, like that guy's good, but he's an undersized 41. He's wrestling.
I think Jesse Mendez is a freak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has Desmond? How many dates has Desmond had so far, though?
I don't know. I know he beat Lilidal though earlier this year.
Yeah.
Let me look.
I think.
1, 2, 3. Looks like 4.
He said, yeah, because
he's got 3 duels and then the Black Knight invite.
He's got 4 duels actually,
but 3 dates though.
But 3 dates, because
Yeah.
that North Dakota State and Stanford was on the same day.
Yeah.
That was in New Orleans, so he very well could wrestle Jesse Mendez in place of Davis this weekend. And I think that Nathan Desmond probably puts up a better fight, even though he's undersized, wrestling Jesse Mendez than Braden Davis would, to be completely honest.
I got Braden Davis versus the Scooter, though.
Scooter's
James
on
already
fire.
probably take the Scooter. Yeah,
That's a wild story.
It is a very wild story. I think I'm taking Blaze in this at 133. I think it's tied up 3-3. I think no matter who Jesse Mendez wrestles at 41, he gets bonus.
Yes.
They need it.
Yeah. I think he gets bonus. Now at
You could send
49,
2 people out there.
Yeah,
Still do it.
at 49, this is where Penn State is going to need to get. I mean, you can't say need to get bonus, like they ever truly need bonus points. But I think in the interest of keeping a gap, at least some semblance of a gap, they're going to need Van Ness to get some bonus here at 49. I mean, I think we're all probably picking Van Ness. The last time that he wrestled Ethan Styles, he pinned him in a minute 6. So I think that that's very possible to happen again. But what are we thinking at 57? Do you think that Ohio State rested Brandon Cannon so that he would be back in the lineup to wrestle PJ Duke? PJ Duke, who's coming off a tough battle when they wrestled Michigan. So Claunch, on to you first. Do we get Brandon Cannon, and does he beat PJ Duke?
I hope we get Brandon Cannon because he's a really exciting wrestler. He throws a lot of cradles. He's great on top. Duke has looked really good this year. Obviously, that match last weekend against Cam Catcherbone, I think people are sleeping on Catcherbone in general. So I don't think that maybe is as concerning as the uneducated eye would lead you to believe. But I don't know. I'm picking Cannon in this one, assuming he's back. Without him at 157 here, Ohio State is they don't have a chance.
No
to win
chance.
the duel. Yeah, they have to have their guys. They have to have their guys wrestling well, and I have Cannon winning the match. So yeah, I think that he should be back and will win.
Robbie.
I would agree with that. I think a rested Cannon comes back, and I would favor him in this matchup. And like you said, I think Ohio State's going to come in very focused and have a very specific game plan and route that they think they can take to win this duel. And it's going to rely on matches like this with Cannon. And he's been incredibly impressive this year. Not to say PJ Duke hasn't been, but I think Cannon gets it done. His only loss this year is to Melvin Miller. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Just a high school kid.
Just random high school.
Well, that's
kid.
isn't Jackson Joy's only loss to Bo Bassett?
Yeah.
So
I think, Joey's been a lot better since then. Obviously, not taking away from Bassett. Obviously, I still think he's really, really good. But Joy has just, I feel like, jumped levels since then too. Though.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, man. The tough part about this is, one, you don't know Brandon Cannon's going to wrestle, but two, if he does wrestle, is he fully healthy? Did they keep him out for injury reasons? What was the reasoning?
Well, I hate to be that guy, but it looks like Cannon would be the top seed at Big Tens at the moment. So is Ohio State thinking long term? Hey, he's still banged up. Don't wrestle. Don't risk a loss. Maintain your number 1 seed. I mean, I hate that happens. I hate to have to say that, but teams do that.
That's the reality that we live in, though.
I've heard he is hurt though too. So
he got hurt. I can't remember what duel it was, but he was wrestling somebody. It was Minnesota.
I think it was Millard. Yeah.
Yeah, and
he was legit hurt. I just don't know when he comes back. And they might be playing a long game of this weight's pretty freaking deep in this conference. Top seed goes a long way here. So I don't know.
Yeah. Man, I'm still taking PJ Duke regardless, right? Like I think Duke has been battle tested the last couple of weeks. Came up short against Antrell Taylor. Nearly came up short against Catcherbone. Got the takedown late to win it. But I'm taking PJ Duke. I think he kind of steadies the ship a little bit, gets back to some dominant ways. Messenbrink, Patty Gallagher. I think it's obviously the Messenbrink show here.
Nah, I got Patty Gallagher winning by an overtime stall point.
I mean, last time they wrestled the match, the only time they wrestled the match was not fun. Did not finish. Injury
It's
default.
as most Mitchell Messenbrink matches, so.
Yeah.
Hey.
But injury default though.
Oh, okay. Just
Yeah.
been gotcha.
Yep. Injury
Yeah,
default.
I have a tech fall, but the more I think about it, Patty Gallagher is going to get stalled out and lose the match.
Very possible. Very possible. 74. We've got Karchla and Levi Haynes, and last time these guys were wrestling last year, Karchla was leading, and Levi Haynes got a takedown late. Man, I don't know. I think Haynes in his new bad boy persona pushing people off stages and shit. I'm just kidding, guys. Just kidding. I do think that Levi Haynes does
do
win
it
this
one time.
Yeah, do it one time. Your label would pushing guys off stages. I do think that Levi Haynes wins this one. Obviously, it's not like it's going out on a limb on this one, but it was a very close match last time, and he had to come from behind. I mean, he was down 4-3, and he gets the takedown late. So, but Carson Karchla is one of the more disciplined wrestlers than in the country too. So, like, had a chance to see him up close a lot through high school, and then obviously at Ohio State for the couple of years he's been there, and he's very disciplined. I feel like Levi Haynes did a very good job last year of kind of breaking down the barrier, kind of putting some pressure on to get that final takedown. But man, it's going to be another battle between these guys. Are we all taking Levi Haynes though?
Yeah.
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 I think he widens the gap too. I think he's better than last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
How awkward is it at 184 with Rocco Welsh now in the lineup? I mean, the good thing for him is that he's not wrestling a teammate because Fishback was not there last year. So it doesn't have to be too awkward, but
conference crossover, Robbie.
There you go. There you go. I'm pretty sure Rocco Welsh still wins this one. I think until we get to heavyweight, I think it's Penn State, and then heavyweight. I'm going Feldman. So I think heavyweight's the next toss up in this one. I didn't keep track of like where we were going with this one. I think Penn State is still winning it.
Mm-hmm.
But who do we have? Marisola or Feldman? Austin? Who are you taking?
Give me Feldman. Local Lancaster boy.
There you go. Robbie?
I got Feldman. I like the way he's been wrestling lately. And I think he's in a good spot.
Yeah. I'm taking Feldman. Claunch, who you got?
Feldman. Feldman's gonna win. He looks good. Mirasola figuring out the weight, the conference, the depth. He'll get there. He'll be fine. But Feldman's already figured that shit out. So
yeah.
And I did the math again. I've got it, if it all works out the way I think, 21-15 Penn State at the end of Feldman beating up on Mirasola, which I expect that to be a major, actually. But yeah.
Damn near was last time. It's 10-3.
Because Josh Barr is going to kick the shit out of Geog. That guy's had such a good year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Geog hasn't had a bad year, but Barr has been very, very impressive since he came back.
Mm-hmm.
Even with his undershirt.
He wasn't wearing it against Michigan.
Wait, wasn't?
No.
Interesting. I mean, the ribs are all better then.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, talked Penn State, Ohio State, made some picks. Robbie, anything else happening in the ACC that needs to be highlighted before we wrap up tonight's show?
Virginia Tech, UNC on Friday night should have some good matchups. We've said kind of all year, UNC is a sneaky good dual team, and they beat Virginia Tech last year. It's kind of not a full lineup. Henson was out with a knee injury. I think one other person was out, but regardless, they got it done, and that's why it was a three-way split. If they want any hope of a split championship this year, Virginia Tech would have to lose to North Carolina, and NC State they'll beat Duke. I'm not too worried about that. The only way it could possibly split is if NC State wins out and Virginia Tech loses one of the next two duels, and they've got North Carolina, then Duke. Pittsburgh Stanford should be a pretty solid duel as well. Matches that stand out there: Aiden Valencia, Cade Brown will be a good match at 149. Cardenas Evans at 57 will be fun. Parker Kessler should actually be a pretty good match. And then Angelo Posada and Max Stout is kind of the match of the weekend that I'm watching in the ACC. Posada's been really, really good. Coming in under the radar. So I got a lot of big pins, got a lot of big wins this year. On Wrestle Stout and their algorithm, it's the Posada's ranked 7th and Stout is 6th. So it's shaping up to be a very close match. This is a chance for Stout to kind of separate himself from the field at 97, because Posada's been hanging in there and getting some big wins. So that'll be a good one to watch.
Claunch, anything else in the Big Ten or in the MAC that deserves mention?
Yeah, the doubleheader on Friday night is going to be Iowa and Michigan coming up right after Penn State, Ohio State. Peterson versus Diego Sotelo at 125. You should have either Nasir Bailey or Cale Peterson against Dylan Ragozin at 141. Ryder Block versus Lachlan McNeil. Whoever they send out at 157, whether it's Voinovich or Williams against Catrabone. The Mantanonas against Kennedy and Arnold. And then Keeter.
Both of them at the same time?
Yeah, it's going to be a tag match.
It's the tag team match.
Yeah, they finally are doing it.
Come full circle.
Missing.
Leave it to the Big Ten to figure it out. They did it. And then Ben Keeter against Gadali. So that should be a fun one as well. And then I will likely be going up to Mount Pleasant to watch the Chippewas wrestle George Mason. So that'll be fun.
Nice. I just had to take a look. I wasn't sure if Ragozin and Bailey have ever wrestled, and I don't think they
NCAA's, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and to get to the 3rd and 4th place match.
Yeah, I'm looking.
So they both lost in the semis. Ragozin to Fix and Bailey to Vito.
Yep,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep.
Oh, Bailey lost.
2024. I hadn't gotten there yet. Yeah, 5-0. Bailey won that match.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well,
that was with both those guys probably at the peaks of their powers, really.
At 133, yeah.
Yeah.
Austin, EIWA, Ivy, anything worth highlighting?
Well, Wednesday, if you guys are looking for something to do, Morgan State, F&M, 6:30 on a Wednesday. Not much wrestling going on except them, but tune into that one. Friday night should be a good one. Penn is at Lehigh. 2 matchups there, 141, Stanich and Composto, 2 All-Americans going at it. And 157 should be good. Swisher, who was ranked at 12 last year for Penn, and Rosinski, who was, I think, number 10, number 11 ranked right now. So 2 good matchups there. Saturday, Drexel and Ryder, nice little rivalry. 2 schools that are close together. 2 legendary coaches who just passed away within the last year, and Gary Taylor for Ryder and Jack Childs. I think they have over 850 combined wins, something like that. So, yeah, that's always been a rivalry there. Bucknell and Lehigh Saturday. Penn versus Princeton on Saturday. And then Monday, a week from today, is actually Princeton and Rutgers. They call it the Big Ivy rivalry. So some Monday night action going on there between two Jersey schools.
Jersey. Robbie, anything in the ACC?
That we haven't already talked about? No.
Yeah.
No. Stanford will be fun to watch. Stanford Pitt's going to be the big one. UNC Virginia Tech will be a fun duel. But I will be down in Blacksburg on Sunday. I'm not doing the double, but I don't feel like I could miss the Oklahoma State duel if I get a chance to see that. So I'll be down there on Sunday. You tell my wife that. Good luck.
Well, I mean, from here, I'm fine. I'm at a swinging range. That's what I've learned. Stay at a swinging range, and you're all good. Yeah, it's gonna be a good weekend of wrestling. Honestly, I'm pretty excited about just kind of sitting back and watching wrestling and not being interrupted by watching the Super Bowl or whatever other stuff is going on. We're, I think, fully football right now. It's between that and Winter Olympics. Nobody watches the NBA All-Star Week, so there's that.
They were fighting tonight, though. So
that's right.
If they were fighting, I think if they brought that back,
yeah, Pistons.
Bring back the bad boy Pistons. I think everybody would watch the NBA again. But everybody's friends now, so
dude, they weren't tonight. And I figured out what happened at the end. You guys are all going to see it on Bleacher Report at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, Miles Bridges was like jumped in to go punch somebody or talk shit. And so then all of a sudden, Isaiah Stewart, or Beef Stew, as we call him up here, just came out from the stands, or not the stands, from the bench to go fight him. He was like, I'm sick of you talking shit. I'm just going to beat the living piss out of you now.
I like
it. He ran over to him and pushed him and started swinging. It's like, you know what?
Don't waste time.
I respect that.
I mean, if you brought back, like I said, you bring back some of those old school teams, I'm pretty sure I would tune in again.
Uh-huh.
Well,
all I know is
ball.
Beef Stew does not bluff. All right. That man,
hell of a nickname.
He is not bluffing at all.
Hell of a nickname. But nonetheless, we've got a good amount of wrestling going on this weekend. Really looking forward to it. I mean, Iowa, I guess you can say that they had a bounce back day against Michigan State, but most teams do.
We discussed this earlier.
Yeah, I know. We discussed all of Michigan State. But
one more thing I will say about Michigan State.
Definitely need a confidence booster, though.
I forgot they lost Remy Cotton. They also lost Cesar Garza. He went to Cal Poly this year. So this is the second year in a row that their two best wrestlers have transferred out.
Seems like a theme.
Yeah. Seems like there's an issue there. Who knows? But anyway, I'm excited for this weekend. Penn State, Ohio State. What was the other one? I think, what was it? Iowa, Michigan as well. Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State. We've got a good slate of matches that
Wyoming, Oklahoma will be good too.
Wyoming, Oklahoma. Is
State
Wyoming wearing their new singlets this weekend, or was that last weekend?
That was last weekend.
That was last weekend that they wore them.
Sweet. Yeah, they were 2-0 this weekend. It was a really good weekend for them.
Them and Oklahoma State both rocked a new singlet. Oklahoma State wore, it's kind of like a light powder blue.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. I don't know. It was like
it's for like the tribe in Oklahoma.
Okay.
It's like the Indian tribe color. Like if you've ever seen like their freestyle team, like it's like a crest. It's like a dream catcher and stuff like that. Like it's, very tribe specific in Oklahoma for like their freestyle teams and stuff. But yeah, I just couldn't tell just from like looking at videos if it was like a silver or if it was like a blue. That was the only thing. And so I asked, and I was told it's a blue.
Yeah, it looks like a teal almost.
Yeah, it's like a very
a chartreuse. Looks like a fishing lure.
Yeah, deep teal. So yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was for. So pretty cool tribute to I don't even know what tribe it is, but that's what that was for anybody that was wondering why they were wearing that different singlet. I think it's pretty awesome that we've seen a number of different singlets from Oklahoma State. They even went back to the old school, like full on orange, was that against Little Rock? I think the old school one. It might have been Little
The black
Rock.
piping on the outside.
Yeah, like their old final singlet. They wore that one the other day, or at least last week. So, but yeah, lots of good wrestling. As I said, we're only giving you guys one show this week. Everybody seems way more interested in the Tuesday show than the Thursday show, so we just rolled it all into one. We'll give you guys one
Thursday
show
suck
this
anyway.
week. Yeah. I mean, everybody by that time knows what the hell's going on in the week. Stay tuned to our Twitter handles as Robbie and Kevin put out their picks, and whenever those lines do come out, Austin always dropping some EIWA and IV nuggets and stuff like that too. And Robbie will most likely have some more interviews as he's going to some duels, and whenever we have some interviews from any of the duels that we go to, we'll drop those right there for you on Twitter as well as our YouTube channel. So stay tuned to those. If you guys have any other corrections like you did last week, we definitely missed that. Levi Haynes did give up a point when he tried to push Minto off the stage. So thank you for correcting that. Never butthurt about getting a correction. Appreciate all you guys reaching out, whether it was DMs or just correcting us in the comments. Continue to throw all those comments in there. We love that stuff. Send us the DMs, ask us the questions, whatever it is. I know we said before we would have a shoe giveaway. We will have a shoe giveaway. It'll just be for something that's a little bit tougher than any of the duels that we have coming up, where there's kind of lopsided to say the least. So maybe it'll be for one of the conference championships, maybe something like that. Maybe we'll do something for ACC or EIWA or IB. Maybe not as much with Big Ten, since there's always so much focus on them. We want you guys to watch some other wrestling besides Big Ten. So stay tuned. We'll give you guys more details for that. Make sure you're tuning in for all the wrestling going on this weekend, as well as hitting up any of our sponsors, Adidas Wrestling, as well as Poseidon Strength. And we will see you next week. Peace.